Magic mirror in my hand, who are the fairest listeners in the land? Oh, hi, you! I'm your host, Snow, and this is Snow's Scary Adventures. So if you're into the spooky, the macabre, or just the plain mysterious, join me here every Tuesday. This episode, I'm going to be talking to Mike Below about his experience in Okinawa and some of the darkness that surrounds the island. Trigger warning, there are some mentions of sexual assault, unaliving, some racism, and murder, so this is not suitable for younger audiences. Now, on with the show. Hi, Mike. How are you doing today?
Hey, Snow. I'm well. How are you?
I'm okay. So I know it's kind of late for both of us, so I appreciate you being here. But I did want to kind of like get a little run of what it is that we're talking about. I know earlier you had mentioned that this was like an experience that you had, and then like based off some stuff that you also knew of Okinawa. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, I guess I should back up. So I was stationed on Okinawa for 3 years. I was there for 3 years and I didn't learn any Japanese because I'm a horrible American, but, I
Konnichiwa?
I know Konnichiwa and Kambawa. That's about it, though. I didn't meet any cool people to teach me curse words out there.
Dude, that's one of the first things you learn.
Not when you're walking around and you feel like Godzilla. So, Okinawa, the island itself, is ancient. It was the birthplace of martial arts like Taekwondo, because of the samurai would rough up the farmers, and so the farmers used like their pitchforks and stuff like that, and made a fighting system out of it to defend themselves.
Fuck yeah.
So
The first time I ever heard the samurai were bad, by the way. Interesting. Okay. Well, I guess to them.
Well, I think everything's relative.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the island itself, once you move forward in history, it was the scene of like one of the bloodiest battles in World War II. Casualties were quite significant. I mean, you're talking about with combatants on both sides and civilians, you're like 275,000 killed. 15,000 Americans were killed in action, and then the Japanese fought to the death. So all 70,000 of the Japanese soldiers that were stationed there fought until they were all killed. I mean, it's a very it was a dishonor to surrender and become a prisoner. So yeah, so they would they'd take you out with grenades. I mean, yeah, it's a Bushido code. That's what it is. So the island itself is it's small. It's only like 67 miles long and it's 13 miles wide, but the fighting was so severe there. That's when we decided that there's no way we could invade mainland Japan, that the casualties we would have would be so astronomical that our only option was to drop 2 nuclear bombs on them. That's how bad Okinawa was, because that's what made,
Yeah.
So, with the Japanese inhabiting the island with the Okinawans, there was a lot of friction between the two groups because they don't look at each other as the same. Okinawans are Okinawans, and then Japanese are Japanese. And the Okinawans had about as much trust for the Japanese soldiers as they had for American soldiers, but just since they mean, we're similar, the culture, looks, and everything else. They assimilated much easier than it would have if like I was to go there and try to move into the village with them. So
that's true.
well, yeah.
For those who are just listening, and you need to watch this video actually, so you can understand the why. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
So once the battle started going south for the Japanese, they were pushed back into a small pocket in the southern end of the island. And around this area is a bunch of coral cliffs. In fact, like the whole island's like surrounded with coral cliffs and like caves that you can like swim through. And so it's pretty neat. But they were getting shoved back, and they started telling the Okinawans, the civilians, that the Americans would go in there and rape them, kill them, eat their babies, anything you could think of. That's what they said we were going to do to them if we capture them. So the Okinawans thought their only option was to jump off these cliffs. And I'm talking about like mothers with infants, little kids, up to the elderly, all jumped off and committed mass suicide that way.
Oh, that's so sad.
It is, and it kind of relates to it, but like Okinawa is also the place where people live the longest, if you can believe that.
Well, I can, because they have better diet and lifestyle.
Yeah, the suicide cliffs you can go down to. I think it's called they call it Peace Park or something now.
Oh.
But it's really eerie looking at it, and it's quite the fall. The way coral is too. I mean, it's jagged and hard,
yeah.
And like,
ooh, ow.
Yeah. So it was bad. So one of the things that local Okinawans told us, like when I was stationed there, is that never go there to the cliffs at night, because there's reports like of unseen forces like shoving Americans over to the edge of the cliff themselves.
Have some been like? Has this been?
There's been reports. No one's gone over.
Okay.
But apparently there was a way that you could not get shoved, and that was by taking a young Okinawan female with you. For some reason, that would appease the spirits of the people that jumped off the cliffs.
It's a little interesting.
It is. They're very big into like their ancestors, and their tombs that they have on the island themselves are we call them turtlebacks, but they're supposed to symbolize like the womb.
Oh wow!
So yeah, once you came out of the womb, then you go back in when you die, and every year on the anniversary of your ancestors' death, you go back there and you put like their favorite shit outside their tomb and stuff like that.
Aww.
So like they're very superstitious, and they weren't joking about like staying away from the cliffs, especially at night. And I never had the balls to do it myself, like go there at night. Seen in the day, but nighttime, now I'm good. It wasn't about the.
And did anybody that you were with, did they ever experience anything?
I had this one friend of mine who claims that there was like some kind of like shrieking, almost like a
banshee,
a female, like, yeah, but it was almost like complete and utter despair. That's what it sounded like. So yeah. I don't know if like it's a spirit of a mother that like had to like launch her like toddler over the side or something like that.
Oh my God, it's a La Llorona, but
yeah, Japanese. I mean, yeah, you think about all the negative energy that was released there. It's spooky even during the day.
It was like a spirit of fear before before something even happened. Like, so then that added to that, because obviously that's traumatic in itself. Jeez.
And it's crazy too. Is that it's not the only island that civilians commit suicide on too.
Wait, what?
With because the Japanese told them we were gonna rape them and pillage them. I think Peleliu may have been another one. I'll have to look. But yeah, the whole island is creepy. I have to find it. I have a picture of one of the guys in my platoon, and it was like at nighttime, so like my flash went off, and we were in what was called like the central training area, and just in the middle of like jungle. And there's a digital camera, so when I looked at the picture, like I'm not kidding you, there had been at least like 50 orbs around his head.
No way.
Just floating all around. Yeah, I swear. Like I have to look for it. I know I have it on a hard drive somewhere. But yeah, that was the first time. Like I was just new on the island, and I was like, something's not right about this.
And so the whole island itself. So you're saying that it's very like weird, creepy. So what was your like
creepy about it.
When you first got there? What was your first like without actually knowing any stories? Because I don't know if you knew the stories before you got there, or if you didn't know them until you got there. But yeah, did you ever feel something like immediately gravitate to you, like as far as like a sense?
I actually did in the barracks when I first got in there. This is really like a feeling of dread. People don't realize though. The number one killer of like U.S. military is
that's so sad.
So yeah, a lot of in fact, we were losing more people to suicide than we were in Iraq in the month.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty rampant, and the Marine Corps itself is like full of stories of like guys just like off themselves, and like this barracks, like you get out there, it's pretty lonely. Like being in a foreign country, especially as a young person, like sucks. Like you totally away from your family and like essentially by yourself. You don't know anybody, and yeah, you went through boot camp and everything, but now you're at a new unit and like you still get treated like shit. You're FNG, a fucking new guy. So yeah, so people like end up hurting themselves like in the barracks. Yeah, okay, so like this isn't like have anything to do with Japan, but my last unit was MARSOC in Camp Pendleton, California. And once I left active duty, I became a contractor for them, working on like same equipment I was doing in the service. Just now I don't have to deploy and get shot at anymore. But one of our guys in the communications unit took a generator and went into his wall locker, closed it up, and turned the generator on.
Holy.
Yeah. So the point I'm getting at is like the barracks can be like a pretty creepy place. And it was the first thing I noticed when I got in there. It was like just a feeling of dread. I did not like it. Fortunately, I didn't have to stay in that room. Yeah, like I just got done my military occupational specialty school, and that was my first duty station. Japan.
So
it was too, because
okay, so while you were there, because you said the feeling of dread and all that stuff, did anything like that happen while you were there? Did that energy influence anybody in your unit at that time?
Not that I recall. We had some people like get like super depressed, but that was pretty much it, I think. I'm trying to think. It's been so long now. People lose their minds. No, just people lose their minds. They
like there, or just in general, but mostly there, I guess.
Yeah, no, just like mostly there. Like they do stupid shit. Okay, so yeah, I can think of a couple stories. One, when I first checked into my unit, like a majority of the people in the unit were under investigation for a big mushroom operation.
Mushroom.
Yeah, mushrooms, like psychedelics. It's like people just lose their damn minds. But one of the big things out there is called black marketing, and that's you going on a military post, U.S. military post, and you buy whatever goods you want, and then you take it out in town and gouge the prices up and sell them to the local nationals, the Okinawans. So it's called black marketing. And what happened was on a different camp. So Okinawa itself has like 13 different camps.
Okay.
They're mostly Marine Corps camps, and then there's an Air Force base there and like a naval station too. But in a different camp across the bay from us, they had these Navy dental hygienists were involved with like a black market scheme.
That sounds scary already.
Because we were all called into a unit-wide formation. So like the entire company gets out information, and the company has over 110 people in it, and you're in by platoons. And our commanding officer went through and checked every single one of our arms. Like we had to hold up our arms, and he checked to see if there's any kind of wounds on us, because one of the dental guys was about to narc on the other ones that they were in the black market thing. They killed him, and they tossed his body into a drainage ditch, like right on like the outskirts of the camp itself.
Oh my god!
Like I said, like, people like lose their mind.
So what was the reason for like the arms? I'm just
to look for wounds, like any
fighting.
Like they were like defending themselves, and they scratched you or whatever,
Yeah, well, because you could also be bruised, right? Like being grabbed.
Yeah, bruised.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean,
that's terrifying.
Yeah, I just didn't know if like it was like the island itself that was like having some kind of influence on like people just making like really horrible decisions out there. There's like some really awful shit that happened out there, like in the 90s too. Like I know people lose their minds, and I just think that island is just it's just like cursed.
Influences, yeah. I wonder if there is something that states, like the same when it comes to the suicide forest. Like we were kind of, I was talking about that earlier. Obviously, I don't think it's in Okinawa. I don't know where the heck it is. It's somewhere further in Japan, right? Like an actual, like there. Okay, so my question is, because I was feeling like maybe that's just as much of an influence, because the forest wasn't called the suicide forest until it was starting to be known for being that. Like, is it like a vicious cycle? Like somehow something dark led them to believe that this is where they should die, and then they continued to do that. You know what I mean?
I think so. I think something like led them down that path, because if I'm not mistaken, that area was sacred.
Yeah.
Before they started themselves there. But yeah, it's just like something dark has to pull you to where like you're gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna walk into the middle of this forest and just die on like overdosing and what have you.
Or whatever it may be, because I feel like they also do like, obviously many people get found. My question is it the land? Is it the energy? You know what I mean? Like, is that what's guiding them? And I guess I think
it's the energy.
Like you said, it's like Okinawa is just kind of a prime example. I mean, it's already its own little island that already went through enough trauma before the war, before that war, and trauma between people who are supposed to be their own kind, and like obviously, it's like we don't know that shit happens, But my God, like it already has its own history. It already seems like the runt of the litter, like the one that, that already is just completely traumatized and bullied and fucked with. And Like, how could that energy not build just negativity all around at some point? Where that is what you're feeling. Like, you feel like, you've lost hope. That's sad.
Yeah, and then you have an occupying force, too. That's been there since 1945.
You guys have, yeah, that's true.
There's also another story, and I want to say you can look this up. I think there's like a Wikipedia page about it, but there was 3 service members were part of the occupying force after the battle, and they were just treating like the local villagers like crap. I mean, like having their way with them, and like,
oh fuck,
just despicable shit.
Like when you talk about oppression, like that's oppression.
They hate us there, but like the strategic significance of it is so overwhelming that there's no way we could ever leave there, because first of all, we stripped Japan of like any means of really defense. They have like almost like the National Guard like we have, but they have no munitions or aircraft carriers, anything like that, because we wouldn't allow them to do it after World War II. So the only deterrent to China is all those Marines on Okinawa and on the Korean Peninsula, all the Army guys.
Oh, wow.
Which I was also in Korea, too. I spent 30 some days there, and that place is even wilder. Super spooky there. And you go up to, like, to the DMZ, like where you can look over into North Korea, and they've got what they call propaganda towns, and they're just like fake buildings to make it look like they're super prosperous. And they have like super green like rice paddies everywhere around them, but like it's not really the case. They even have like fake supermarkets.
Wow.
Because they're trying to get, South Koreans like, oh yeah, it looks really awesome over there. I guess I'll go over. Yeah.
So how long did you say you were in Okinawa?
3 years.
Holy shit.
I originally went out there on a 1-year tour. But I kept extending, so I extended 2 more times. So I spent 3 years total, because like I was going everywhere in like the South Pacific. Mm-hmm. I mean, Australia, Thailand. I went everywhere. It was a blast up until the end. And then it was
a blast when you got to travel to the other places, but
yeah. But once I got stuck on Okinawa, it's like there's nothing to do. You either drink or play video games. I did both.
But do you know anybody who like decided like never again they were going to be part of any service because of Okinawa?
Yeah. So when I was there, it was like a really bad time, because the war in Iraq just kicked off. So the military does this thing. It's called stop loss, stop move, which essentially means like if you have orders to go to a new duty station, you don't anymore. You're stuck where the fuck you're at. So we had a bunch of people that were stuck on Okinawa that were there well over their year.
Oh no.
And like just hated life. And like there's a group of these idiots that were hating life so much that they found angel trumpets out in town, like the big flowers.
Yeah, those are pretty. Oh no.
Yeah, but guess what? You can make a tea out of them and hallucinate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I woke up with my roommate and this girl in my platoon, like 2 inches from my face while I was sleeping. So they're like, it's so beautiful. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, dude. But the best part is like, so our rooms, you shared a bathroom, and a Marine Corps, it's a head. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me why. That's because it's a naval terminology. But so you share a bathroom with the room next to you, and we were both, my roommate and I were both lance corporals, so like we're just junior Marines. Mm-hmm. And our next door neighbor was a corporal. He's a non-commissioned officer, and he worked for the company first sergeant. The first sergeant's the guy that kicks everybody's ass. So my roommate got high on the angel trumpet tea and was hallucinating. And have you ever seen like how like Japanese people sit, like they squat down and they rest their arms on their knees?
Yeah.
Well, he was like that in our bathtub, eating our neighbor's bar soap.
What?
I shit you not. So like the next day, like I didn't believe this corporal, and he narked him out to the first sergeant too.
Oh my gosh.
But I walked into the bathroom and I looked into the tub, and there was like was an Irish Spring with a huge bite mark taken out of it.
Okay, so this place definitely drives people crazy. Like,
Yeah, The
stupid people left
Grudge.
and
You know that
right.
movie?
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah, that came out when I was there, and like I'd have to like sometimes run by myself for physical training at 0 dark 30. So I'm like running through town, and like you just see like all the little houses look just like The Grudge, and like just like my hair standing up the whole time. So I thought that bitch was staring at me from outside the window.
That's terrifying. Did you okay, so okay, back to that. Did anybody in your unit ever say that they ever saw something similar to that? Like, I mean, cuz with as much history there, I feel especially when it comes to the children, it's not like they really know why the choice was made. Like, or did you ever
No,
feel like you were being watched or anything like that?
Oh,
I mean,
all the
aside from
time.
the runs, because
Oh yeah, all the time. Like it's just a very eerie feeling out there. I used to like to go down to the beach. You know, it's on a military post, so it's like there's no people sunbathing or anything. You know, I was by myself, and like it was like the creepiest feeling. Like there was just like something was out there, something was staring at me, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
how did you sleep?
How did I
Did
sleep?
you ever have any kind of like nightmares, paralysis, anything along those lines when you were there?
Yes, I had sleep paralysis, but not like the kind that you are like you can move your eyes, you know, but you can't move anything else.
Yeah.
I had it where I was laying on my side, so it was like kind of like in a 45-degree angle, more of my stomach facing down, and I no shit felt somebody put their hands and like their face on my back and push me down, and I was like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? How am I gonna get this thing off me? Like I didn't know what it was. Like for all I knew, it could have been some drunk asshole in the barracks that snuck into my room. I had no idea. You know, because I've had that happen before. I've crackheads sneak into my room.
Another idiot eating soap right next door to you. So
eating soap, and like you have ones like sneak in there, like try to go in your refrigerator, steal your beer. But so I was like, you know, fuck this. I was going to throw an elbow as hard as I could.
And you couldn't move.
Over at like whatever's. I could not move. It felt like something grabbed my wrist and the back of my tricep, and I couldn't like get anything out either because I was like trying to do like a war cry, which in my case is me screaming like Michael Jackson. But yeah, so like so that's how like that's when I knew that I was dreaming though. Like when I couldn't get like a scream
what
out.
You think is a dream.
Well, yeah, like I don't know. I mean, it was so real that I don't know what the fuck it was, to be honest with you. And like I don't want to experience anything like that again.
Is that the only time you've ever had sleep paralysis?
Yeah.
So on Okinawa. That's interesting.
Yeah, like something like holding me down. It was really fucked up.
That's interesting. How long do you feel like it lasted?
15 seconds, maybe. I laid there and was just like hoping that I would just like stop what it's doing, or I'd wake up. It's bringing back like a lot of like not like memories per se, but like feelings. Like
what you felt when you were there.
Kind of nuts.
Like that nervousness, that dread, that
and like anxiety. I really wasn't anyone that really believed in like the like supernatural shit, like ghosts and stuff like that. But after going to that island, like it had me creeped out. That made me realize that there's more out there than we know.
just how you're speaking about it now. I know I'm not to go to Okinawa. You ever get the chance? Zer no zer.
It is a beautiful island though. It's I think it's a constant 70 degrees in the water around it. It's like the best scuba diving in the world.
Wow.
But
no, I'm not sure I would want to scuba dive around there.
No.
I'm already scared of open water. I'm scared of being in open water. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I haven't had the moments where I wanted to like try scuba diving or anything along those lines. But I don't know, something about open water just freaks me out. Maybe a past life problem. I don't know, right? But knowing that, over the cliffs. Like I feel like, that kind of energy, it has no bounds. Like you don't know where you're gonna feel what if somebody pulls, what if I'm sure there's stories of people who have gone just to like explore it and feeling things too themselves. Obviously I guess I'd have to really look for somebody who might have a story about an experience just in the water there. I mean, if you're saying that you felt dread or not dread, but like I guess a sense of anxiety on the beach, just sitting on the beach, then imagine being in, I feel like that's scary.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, where did all those bodies go? You know what I mean? Like, obviously the ocean took most of them, but.
And you have to like consider too, like the Japanese battle plan was first of all, we D-Day was April 1st, April Fool's Day, and what they did is
today is April.
Traditionally, they wouldn't let us establish a beachhead, so they would throw everything they have at us just to destroy us on the beach before we could make a beachhead and then start moving ashore. So, but what they did on Okinawa is they didn't do anything. They just let us come right in. And then they opened up fucking hell. So like all those beaches, everything around, like, and who knows like where I was at. I mean, like it's so weird, like major battles that were fought all over that island like now have like like apartment buildings on now. So like anywhere you're at, dude, you could be like seriously on a treasure trove of like haunted ass shit.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, all the dead body, all the blood that's been spilled there. It's like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like the whole island seems like that because you said it's small, so it's not like
it is.
Oh god.
Does it take like 2 hours? 2 hours to go north to south on it.
Yeah, that's. I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
That's me to like.
I've driven through Texas. It's taken me a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. I don't know.
So in the end of it, like, okay, I mean, you've started. You now are more into like paranormal stuff, games, shit like that. Like, even if it's just games, but like,
yeah.
When it comes to the things and the experiences that have been said have been there, or even just what you felt, because I feel like that's crazy. Like that's a weird feeling. Somebody just on top of you, like that in itself is a weird feeling. But what would you think that is? Like, if there was a term for what it is that you were dealing with, do you think it would have been like spirits from those who are past, or do you feel like the overwhelming presence that you're feeling is something else, like that's actually there, like that's taken over the island?
I think it was, to me, it just seemed like it was like from the past, like just so full of sorrow. It's like there's nowhere that sorrow can go once these people died other than carried on like through the years, and then it's just residual. It's just sitting there.
A lot of residual sadness. That's so sad.
Yeah, I'd be curious to go back there now and see how I feel after after my combat deployments, I got messed up in the head, and I think that I became more attuned to like the spiritual side of things, the spiritual warfare going on, because like I've been so close to death that it's almost like you're like walking that fine line, and I'd be really curious to see what Okinawa would do to me now. It'd be really weird.
Just make sure that you have an Okinawan young lady with you if you ever decide to go to the cliffs, please.
Yeah, seriously.
Who knows? Maybe now they'll be like, "Hi," they'll call you Yeti or something.
Oh, Roundel, you made it.
That's funny. I appreciate you speaking with me about this. This has been really an interesting chat. And yeah, I think diving into a little bit more of the stories of Okinawa is going to be fun. But yeah, thanks for speaking with me tonight, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. It was my pleasure.
You stream? Do you have your own podcast? Do you have...
No, I stream occasionally on Twitch, and I play horror games because I like at least feeling something again. Like before I had like huge adrenaline rush, now that's gone. So the only adrenaline rush I get now is by getting the shit scared out of me playing horror games.
Okay, well, good to know. That's a good reason to do it.
Yeah.
And then your stream name, you said on Twitch, right?
Yeah, Mike_below.
Got it.
On Twitch.
Anybody who's just listening, check him out. If you ever want to just check him out and laugh at him while he gets scared playing his games. Yeah, thank you for being with me, Mike. After Mike and I had finished our interview, he was reminded of an incident that he was told about the island of Okinawa and some military forces. This story was so horrific that it took almost 50 years for it to actually be told. Naturally, I was curious. So I will close this episode with an excerpt straight from militaryhistory.fandom.com. The Katsuyama killing incident in 1945 was a killing of 3 African American Marines by Okinawans from the Katsuyama village near Nago, Okinawa. This incident occurred after the Battle of Okinawa, or the Typhoon of Steel to the civilians, shortly before the end of the war in the Pacific. Many years later, some of the villagers confessed that every weekend 3 Black United States Marines had allegedly been visiting the village just around that time, and every time they violently took village women into the hills with them and raped them. When the Marines started to confidently carry out their weekly ritual unarmed, the villagers reportedly overwhelmed the men and killed all 3. Their bodies were hidden in a nearby cave out of fear of retaliation against the village. So this was a village secret until 1997. Since the killings, the cave has been known as Koranbogama, which translates to Cave of the Dark-Skinned Boys. This episode was produced and hosted by me, Snow. Special thanks to Mike Below and to Master Sword Music for the intro song. If you ever just want to hang out with me live, I do go live on Twitch on Friday nights under touch_of_snow, SNO, or check out my socials. The link will be in the channel description. Thank you for listening. And remember, every wish comes with a price.